He's totally right on being connected with other maybe bishops and elders and other leaders, but also I think it's apropos that I mentioned being also accountable.
Ready to kick us off?
Hey, sure. Today we're going to continue our conversation about faithfulness in ministry. I think it's important that we kind of do a backtrack as to where we started this process. We started talking about qualifications in terms of Timothy, First Timothy. The qualifications that we see in the Bible for what it takes in terms of to be an upstanding man in the church, in terms of taking care of his family, making sure he's faithful to the Word of God as well as to his family and as to his wife, to his children. Those stipulations in terms of qualifications, right, in terms of being even considered to be an elder or a minister in the church. I think then we start talking about some of the distinctions in terms of staying engaged and avoiding burnout. Today, I think we want to talk about accountability and pastoral discipline. Was that the two, guys? I think that's what I wrote down. Accountability and pastoral discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, gotcha. So accountability and pastoral discipline. And I think what's critical about this clarification is that preaching is one element of pastoring a church and ministering in a church, but there's another element of conducting yourself in such a way where you're influencing the organization that you lead, the congregation that you lead, and you're living a life that entails the same message that you're preaching on Sundays, right? Yeah. So let's kick that off. Accountability. What are we thinking? How can we establish accountability amongst pastors when there's so many different organizations or ministries that do not have connectivity to other churches or to larger churches?
Well, I'll start off. I think it's important that, particularly with independent pastors who have churches that are autonomous, that aren't associated or connected to a mainline organization or denomination, that it's important for these pastors to actually begin to reach out to other pastors, to form connections with other pastors, to seek out ministerial fellowships so that they can become a part of those fellowships, so they are not in it by themselves.
Right.
And I think that's absolutely key to establishing a system of accountability to someone else, so that you're not just completely out there on your own doing your own thing like a Lone Ranger. Right. Unfortunately, we have more of the Lone Rangers than we do actual people who actually are connected to other people or other organizations that can hold them accountable. So yeah, it's a real problem. It's interesting because even on yesterday, something came across my YouTube feed, I think in regards to the bishop that was in New York. I don't know if you guys heard about this particular bishop. He was the actual one that actually got robbed, maybe by
Whitehead.
Yeah, Whitehead. And so here recently, some footage came out that showed him in a good light, showed him putting his hands on a female that was in his church, and the police had to be called. And one of the things that the commenter said, that the YouTube commenter said, was the fact that who is this bishop accountable to? Who's coming in to at least conduct an investigation, at least ask questions and find out from the leadership side of whatever his organization is, to find out what the truth of the matter was, instead of him just going on like a lone gun doing whatever he wants to do. I think it's absolutely important and imperative that as leaders we are accountable to others who are with us in ministry.
There's a behavior that God requires for his men and women of God. There's a behavior, right? There's a behavior that he requires for all of us. And in leadership, if you think about all the way through the history of the Bible, there was certain acts and accountability that God expected from everyone who he appointed. Everyone. And so, and a lot of times we talked about this too in a sermon a couple of weeks ago, is that when the wrong person is in leadership and they make decisions, the people suffer for the decisions the incorrect or the wrong leader make, right? And so I think that's important that we establish that accountability, because sometimes it's not just about a person making a bad decision. Sometimes they just don't have enough godly counsel around them to take the right direction. Right. Minister Thurman, talk to me about that. Talk to me about, you talk about it all the time. Who is your example? Talk to me about where did the line break where ministers that sat under pastors for so long, and then they, essentially the opportunity for them to become a pastor in that church or somewhere else, where that connectivity was still there. Where did that line break?
Well, a couple of things. If you guys don't mind me just going back just a little bit in regards to accountability, Pastor Adams, he's totally right on being connected with other maybe bishops and elders and other leaders, but also I think it's apropos that I mentioned being also accountable to those who are in your congregation too. Yeah. Being accountable for those who are in the pews, being accountable for those ministers, for those other people who are up under you. And also those people being able to speak power to truth. Right. And so if there's something that's said by the pastor, guess what? There's somebody who can challenge. And when I said challenge, I don't mean in a disrespectful way, but just to challenge, the pastor saying that, hey, this may have been appropriate. That's broke off. We don't have that. And to answer your question that you asked, it probably happened if you're looking in the probably early 90s. When it became really, really chic. At one time they were calling themselves pastors, and then you saw the name. Well, that's not good enough for me to be a pastor. Now I want to be an apostle now. Well, so it's not good enough to be an apostle now. Now, I want to be a bishop now. Now that's not good enough. Now I want to be an archbishop. So when these titles came and these things changed, people tend to change. So that meant that now if I'm a bishop, I'm an archbishop, that means that I'm not held accountable to anyone. For those various reasons. So I think during the 90s, really, you saw that change. The first century, it was no such thing as one pastor. It was a council. It was a council of people. You didn't have no such thing as one person doing all, and it was set up that way for a reason. So you didn't have this monarchy. You didn't have one person dictating, being the judge and the executor. And things have changed because of that. So that means that I can run Lone Ranger. I can, because I'm not accountable to anybody. There is no link. So we get these different denominations. So I don't have to respond to anybody now, because this is me and me all by myself. Is what I think really, really went wrong at.
Yeah. And I think.
Hey guys, it's Pastor John here. Please, if you like this video that you just saw, hit that like button for us. Second thing I want to ask you to do is to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We're putting out videos once a day at about 5:30 p.m. Hit that bell notification so that you'll know when a new video has been uploaded. And then the final thing to do, share this video, share this information. If you know somebody that has a need that it can be benefited by it, please put it out in circulation so that we can try to help as many people as possible. Thanks, and God bless.